So welcome everybody here at LAN Handling. Today my colleague Barry Geerts will explain us a bit more about automation in a variety pack process. Barry, lead the way.
Well, thank you, Thijs, for this warm introduction. Indeed, I'm going to tell you something about variety pack production. Variety pack is multi-flavors in one package, and the way to get there, to get to the right solution and make the right decisions. During my role as a sales manager, I had several projects with several clients who were going to make their first step into variety pack production. And several questions were asked. Is Barry, we are just a small company. We have not so much to invest. I can't afford a variety pack production. Do I need to go to flow pack or boxes? What kind of storage do I need? Which decisions I need to make? AGVs, I hear everywhere AGVs. Is that something we need to consider? Well, today I'm going to take you through the process and some steps you need to consider when you're making your first steps into variety pack automation.
Well, interesting. And as I do feel a lot of customers might have this challenge. So show us what you got.
Yeah. Well, first, you logged into this webinar, but I found it interesting what ChatGPT has to say about a variety pack, because today you just go on the internet and you browse and you can learn a lot.
Yeah.
I just checked and it came with a kind of a list with things you need to consider, like product selection, sealing method, packaging, labeling and coding. So that's what we found.
Yeah, I see a lot of different topics, Barry, but we from LAN Handling, we handle products. So where is the handling in this overview?
Yeah, good point. Well, that's where LAN Handling comes in. We connect all these dots, all the way from the filler to the packaging. So we have the right storage methods, we have the right automation, and the right tracking and tracing to arrange variety pack within your factory.
Okay.
And together with our partners, we can advise you towards the right solution.
Ah, nice. Well,
yeah.
Hopefully you have some example how it works.
Yeah. Well, these are just some examples of some variety pack products. So again, it's multiple flavors in one package. So we got pouches, we got stick packs, we got cans, tubs, all kind of products which are used for variety pack these days. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
And I see a lot of wet pet food examples, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, so wet pet food. Yeah, interesting.
First of all, when you decide to make variety pack, the carrier is key. As you might understand, you need to produce several flavors to make your variety pack, and you need to store these products to join them together into one package. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what the story is all about. And you need to store those products in a carrier. There are several ways of doing that, and they are kind of displayed on this page. First of all, let's.
So what do we see, Barry? Yeah.
Well, in the left-right corner, you just see an average plastic crate, which is a good method of storing your products, and you can buffer products in these crates pretty easily. And there are two types of crates. Mm-hmm. There's crates with pockets and crates without pockets, and each come with their own advantages and disadvantages. I'll tell you more later about.
Okay. Yeah.
Then as well, we got big plastic crates. Big crates with a full layer of product. What's kind of interesting is that, as you can see, the pattern of this plastic tray is similar to the retort tray. So that's something I'll tell you more about later in my story.
Indeed, so I see a commonality in the pockets where the products are in. Is that?
Indeed.
Nice. Yeah.
Apart from that as well, we have small carriers. Those are often like small boxes loaded by case packer kind of solutions. So where you normally would have a case packer with a box, you put them in a plastic box instead of a carton box. So that's also a solution.
Yeah.
There are also customers who don't go for external storage, but just store their products in their retort trays. That's kind of a thing you need to consider, because if you have a big variety of products with different languages and different flavors, that's kind of hard to manage, because these trays come with kind of an investment. And storing all your products in these stainless steel trays is only to be considered if you only have very limited variety in your products.
Okay.
Then as well, there's also the opportunity or the solution to store 2 flavors in one tray. That's kind of the right bottom corner, which is pretty easy because you don't need to store or buffer anything. But what you need to consider there, Thijs, is that if you have an imbalance within your products, for example, your filler with flavor A is not running as well as your filler with flavor B, there comes an imbalance, and there's no way you can buffer that. You should buffer that then in between your packer. That's very difficult because normally when you have an imbalance, it's keep running up and up and up, so that's difficult to store.
Okay.
So we don't see this so often. The most solutions we see these days are on the top. So we see crates.
Crates and the trays. That's
Crates and the
what's
trays,
most common.
indeed,
Okay.
indeed.
So do you have some examples about these solutions, perhaps?
Yeah, sure,
Nice.
Thijs, sure. Let's first talk about the crate handling solution. The crate handling solution, as mentioned, we got like two varieties, one with pockets and one without pockets. When we talk about these crates, for example, you see this can contain 16 pouches. We're talking pet food pouches in this case.
Yeah.
And they're stacked upon each other until 8 or 10, a little bit depending on the crate design. So there's quite a big pouch density in a cubic meter. You can quite a big storage when you talk about a cubic meter of storage. Although, what you need to keep in mind when you're talking about crates with pockets is when you stack these pouches in these pockets, they're not 100% flat. They're a little bit like a triangle. So
You mean gusset pouches?
Gusset pouches, for example, they're not really flat. So we can flatten them, but still there might be a little bit of an incline. So when you were stacking these pouches in these crates, they might build up a little under an angle. And that's something which you need to consider. So if you want to choose, we need to choose the right crate height and the right solution to help you with that. As well, there are 10 pouches upon each other. So it's kind of a stack of pouches. And when we talk about another solution which we have for trays, we're only stacking 1 or 2 pouches upon each other, which keeps them more stable.
So I can imagine that also the pockets surrounding the pouch should be very precise to put it in and out.
Yeah, indeed. Well, a big advantage of these crates is that they're easy to be used manually. So if you are stepping into variety pack automation and you want to start with manual doing stuff a little bit manually in the beginning to see how the market is developing, crates is a very good beginning because it really helps you to also say, okay, well, let's load this crate automatically, but make variety pack manually. Or if you, for example, have a big variety of products, if you have 8, 12, 16, all kind of, you want to have shelf boxes, all kind of stuff, which is hard to automate, but easy to do manually, that might be a good option to also consider.
So the loading of the crates is being done automatically, but the unloading of the crates could also be done theoretically manually. Is that what you say? Okay.
Indeed.
Okay.
Some things you need to keep in mind is the unloading is more complex because there's a big stack of pouches, and you need to keep in mind that they might deviate also from each other. And some things you need to keep in mind as well, that you might require a stretch wrapper after you load the crates and you palletize the crates. Then a stretch wrapper might be required to at least to strap the top of the pallet to keep the crates
I understand.
together. You could also consider to go for a crate without these pockets.
Yeah, that's also what you see.
Also often done. Well, what's to say about crates without pockets? First of all, you can put everything in it. If you have 100-gram pouches, 50-gram pouches, you can just basically put everything in it.
Is it because the product is not in a pocket, you mean?
Yeah.
And therefore less dependent, and you have more flexibility in your storage?
Yeah, good question, Thijs. Indeed, you have these pouches with several sizes, and of course, when you have a pocket size, that's frozen, so you are more flexible when talking about these crates. As you can imagine, when you place the pouches in these crates, they are getting disorientated pretty quick. And that makes it really hard to automate later. There are some options, like for example, here you see a pouch scrambler, not supplied by LAN, by one of our partners. But we as LAN like to keep the products sorted, like to keep them straight and tight, and do not disturb the pattern to avoid these kind of solutions.
So how does this work? So you have a crate with pouches, and then?
Indeed, good question, Thijs. This is a pouch descrambler, as mentioned. And you can just tip the bin in over here, and the pouches are single-lined in this direction and rotated in the right direction, and then can be fed out to the packer. But you need to keep in mind that of course, this is kind of a complex machine. And apart from that, the speed is pretty low. So we like to avoid that in any cases, and rather keep the products sorted and orientated in their storage carrier.
I understand. Yeah, okay.
I can imagine that might be a little bit overwhelming, but no worries. I'll take you through step by step.
So what do we see here, Barry?
Yeah.
I assume this is a layout for equipment.
Indeed.
Can you tell us how this works, Barry?
Yeah, sure. This layout shows you the full solution how to get your pouches to a pallet of plastic crates. So a full crate loading system. So we enter the stainless steel trays over here, mainly by our automation system, and we unload these pouches. We dry the pouches with our inline dryer, and we load the pouches on a belt.
Okay.
On this belt, it's also important that we flatten the pouches to make them extra flat, because they need to go into the crate, and we don't want the stack to get disorientated. So that's on this point. Then on this point, we'll take over the pouches from the belt. We load them directly into the crates. That can be either pocket crates or crates without pockets.
I see that this robot tool rotates the product every now and then going into the crates. Why is that?
Yeah, well, this customer was running crates with pockets and crates without pockets, and it had a manual unloading zone. So it was manually making variety packing. So that's why we rotate them so they don't build up too much. If you want to automate it, they all need to be in the same direction. Okay. And then we'll load them in the same direction. So this is the point where the crates are loaded. They'll go around the corner, and then they come to a stacker station, where we make a kind of a stack of crates. And then we have this robot over here who can load the crates onto the pallet, and also handle the pallets and create them to a full...
So this handling is also to be done by LAN handling?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And then, as mentioned afterwards, we got a mini shuttle to take care of the distribution of the pallets and the empty pallets and the pallets with the crates. So over here we see the stretch wrapper, and we can strap the pallet. We always advise to not strap the full pallet, because there might still be a little bit of moisture left, and you don't get condensation. But it keeps the pallet together for transport. And then you can take it off with the forklift over there and bring it to your storage.
Okay, clear. Yeah.
So, again, might a little bit of an overwhelming picture, but of course we loaded all these crates. Then the point comes where the pouches need to go from these storage crates to the case packer.
Yeah, with case packer you mean it goes into a carton box or?
A carton box or a flow wrap, whatever the customer demands. Okay. So we have like several solutions to do so, and this is just an example solution, so don't pinpoint me on the exact details, but in this case we're talking about the red block is the multi-flavor case packer. And with this solution we are going to load full crates with pouches into this case packer. So we got two robots, each taking care of unloading the full crates towards the conveyors towards the case packer, and also taking care of the empty crates which are coming back from this case packer.
So in this solution, we only handle the crates, but who is then taking the product from the crate into the carton box?
That's a good question. That's a good question. In this particular solution, the case packer was designed in such a way that it picks directly from the crate to the case packer, to the carton case. But there are also case packers who have the solution that they first unload from the case to a belt, and then from the belt to the final package.
So you could say that here you have less product handling, so therefore can be advised to do so. Right? So you don't need to pick it twice, but directly from the crate into a carton box, less handling.
That can be a solution.
Okay,
indeed,
nice. Yeah.
indeed.
Clear.
So I told you all about our crate solutions. As I mentioned, crates are good if you like to start manually. You're very flexible. The investment can be rather low from the beginning because you have the opportunity to handle them manually. But we also have tray storage solutions, which are often chosen if you're going for fully automatic line.
Well, let's have a look.
Okay, well, trays. What's to say about plastic trays? On the top right corner, you see a stack of these plastic trays. And the pattern of this tray is similar to the retort tray, as I mentioned. So we pick up a full layer from the retort tray and replace it directly. We take it to the dryer and replace it directly into the storage trays. Then these trays can go to a storage area where you can either put them in a rack, or, for example, there are also customers who have like stainless steel racking systems to store these pouches. So also be allowed to store them in the height. Well, what's to say about these trays? When you look to the investment, it's a little bit lower equipment-wise in relation to crates.
Okay.
It's a little bit simpler, so the investment of the equipment is a little bit lower. There's more stable storage. As you can imagine, if you stack 10 pouches on top of each other in a pocket, or you have small pockets where you put 1 or 2 pouches on top of each other, that's more stable. For the case packer, well, I'll tell you more about it later in my presentation, but we'll unload the plastic trays into the case packer, so they just need to pick the product from a belt. So in many solutions, the case packer will be simpler as they need to pick the pouches from crates.
Yeah.
A disadvantage of these trays, of course, they are very light and very flexible, and for that, not really good to handle manually.
Okay,
So,
I understand. Yeah.
Again, maybe a little bit of an overwhelming picture, but no worries, Thijs. I'll talk you through.
Yeah.
I'll talk you through. On the left bottom corner, you see the point where the trays are entering our system. And over there, you see the equipment to unload the products and dry the products. Also on this end, you see the plastic tray handling. But I have another picture which kind of explains it a little bit more better. So here you're looking at these two robots, which are the robot to handle the trays and the robot who handles the product. And again, the products are taken out of the retort trays and taken through our inline dryer and go straight into these plastic trays. And then on the left side, you see the robot, which is colored red in the overview, which is handling the plastic trays.
Okay, so you have sterilized products coming in and then going out to a warehouse. That's what we see here.
That's exactly what we see here.
Clear.
Same as with the crates, we're loading the intermediate carriers and taking them to the warehouse.
Nice.
And taking them to the warehouse can either be a forklift or an AGV or whatever. You can go for a forklift and with an AGV later. That's all possible.
Okay.
But after loading, we of course also need to take these products out. So again, we have a solution to do so. This is a 4-flavor unloader. The blue arrows are for the empty crates, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4 stacks of plastic trays going in. And we unload these trays with these robots and put them on the outfeed belt. So the difference with the crate handling system is that with the crate handling system, we were feeding the crates into the case packer, and in this solution, we are really feeding the product into the case packer.
Okay, so you have an interface with the belt going to a case packer, which is differently than with the crates.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay,
Indeed.
so
Nice.
if I understand correctly, Barry, we saw the transfer stations. Here we see what we call multi-pack unloaders. It looks like quite an investment or a lot of equipment. Is there any, let's say if I want to start with variety pack, is there any steps to take?
Yeah, good question. When you look to the previous slide and this slide, we're talking about quite an investment. And as I mentioned, variety pack is a hot topic, and a lot of startups like to make their steps into variety pack. It's quite an invest. But what we really think is important, even if you're making a startup in the wet pet food, or if you're designing a new factory, you need to design it in such a way that you can automate in the future. And then we can do that with limited or no investment at this point. By making the right decisions now, you can automate to a fully automated production line in the future.
So to create a phased approach.
Indeed.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, let me show a little bit more about it. Well, this is the you might recognize one of the previous pictures where we had the transfer station. The pouches were following the green line towards the plastic trays. The solution we're looking here right now is kind of a hybrid solution. So what we can do is we can install a pouch unloader, and we design it in such a way that the plastic tray handling can be added later. We design it in such a way that the power supply is sufficient, the footprint is sufficient, there's enough empty space in the electrical cabinets, the controls are laid out for it. So we design it with this layout, and then we take out the red part, and that's the way we supply it, and we can automate it in the future.
So what you say is what you see in gray is going directly to a case packer.
Yeah.
And then the red equipment, let's say the tray handling, can be added in a later stage.
Indeed. And
okay.
as you can see in the video on the bottom, this is our standard single liner, where we can also feed the pouches to a 2-lane in feed or 1-lane in feed, whatever the case packer desires. Coming to this solution is, of course, there's option 1 of going straight from the retort tray to the case packer, but you also have option 2 to go directly to the storage, as I explained. But having this layout also gives you the opportunity to take products from your buffer and feed them towards the case packer. So if you decided to put them in plastic crates earlier, you can decide, okay, I decided to do that, but now I want to take it back to the case packer. So that's also possible.
I would think that the product flow from this side should stop also.
Indeed, of course. Then it should be like in a weekend or whatever you decide to do that. But
and then you can empty your buffer. Okay, clear. Interesting.
Indeed. And there's also a fourth option with this with this equipment, and that's like a real active buffer. So in line, when you are producing, we can program it in such a way that if the case packer stops, that it starts loading into the plastic trays.
And it gives a lot of flexibility for customers.
Yeah. Well, you might sometimes, if there's an issue with the case packer or something, you're out of cases or whatever, you still got product left. There's a small stop. It can automatically go to the buffer, and then you can decide to also check when if there's no product coming, to also take the products back from the buffer and feed them in automatically.
Not clear.
What I do need to mention here, Thijs, is that you might be losing your FIFO, your first in, first out, which is quite important for some customers who say, no, I really want to make sure that the first product which came from the filler is the first product which goes into the packer.
Yeah.
So that's, of course, when you're going to the buffer and straight back, that might be this.
But of course, products here at this stage are already been sterilized. So it's more that towards your warehousing, you need to keep track of that. Okay, clear.
So I explained about the products can go to a plastic tray, intermediate storage. We can also make solutions for plastic crate to buffer them there, but it will not be easy with this solution to also take the products from the plastic tray and load them back to the case packer. So the reverse method will not be possible. So when we're talking about the full solution, you got like 4 options: to the packer, to the storage, from the buffer, and like an active buffer who is continuously buffering.
It's a lot of options for our customers. Eh?
Yeah.
It's good to see to have options, and gives a lot of flexibility.
Yep.
I see,
Yep.
and keep the FIFO in mind. Yeah.
Yep. And when we're talking about this solution, of course, you still need to add a robot and a couple of conveyors, which still could be kind of an investment. There's also another intermediate solution we can make in between having no multi-pack and this solution, and that's we can mark a drop-off zone near the outfeed, where you can place crates or pallet crates. We can make chutes to guide the pouches to those crates. And you can just enter here. That can either be through a door or a light curtain. Place a pallet with crates. We dump them in. I'm saying dumping because they will be disordered.
Yeah.
And then you can take the crates out. And that also could be an intermediate step you make to...
So another option for our customers.
Another option. Another option. And this is how like the full system looks like. This we recently quoted this for one of our customers, where you have 4 hybrid unloaders going to 4 single flavor case packers connected to a palletizing equipment, and then the plastic crates go to the warehouse. And a little bit below the screen, there is our multi-flavor case packer, and there's an additional line from that case packer towards an additional palletizer. Palletizer are stretch wrapped, and you can take the boxes out there with a forklift.
It's a lot of equipment here, Barry. Is all this equipment in the solution provided by LAN?
All this, apart from the case packer, everything is supplied by LAN. So,
okay, looks nice.
Unloader.
Good, yeah.
That was mainly what I want to say, Thijs. And when we're talking about the 5 points of attention, is the carrier is key. You really need to consider your carrier. Do you want to do stuff manually? What is your budget? How many storage do you want to have? Those are things you need to consider when choosing your carrier. Always design your factory with the future in mind. So you might not have the money now or don't have the power to invest in the full-blown solution. But let us advise you on how we can engineer your factory in such a way that you keep those options open. Well, control your products from A to Z. So keep them, don't disturb them too much. Use gentle handling, stable storage. That's our main goal, because you can choose a carrier, but if that carrier is not as stable as another carrier, you might lose your investment later by losses of waste. And well, my last point, Thijs, we're actually not only supplying machines, we supply the solution. And with the solution, I mean that we have key partners which we work with a lot, and which we can advise, and they can advise as well. And that's my last point of this slide. Well,
Barry, thank you very much for this nice presentation. I think it gives a good idea what customers can expect from a partner as LAN handling in a multi-pack flavor. Well, thanks again for watching this webinar. Should you be interested in more videos, keep an eye on LAN handling YouTube channel. Thank you very much.